You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the March 7th meeting of the Michigan City Board of Aviation Commissioners. You can find more information for this meeting at www.accesslaportecounty.org.
Here's a monthly meeting, March 7th, 2023. Time now 1 o'clock. Call to order. Members present, we have T.I. Oakson, Kurt Hunter, Greg Poulin, myself, Jeff Bartlett. All members are present. We have a quorum. Also in attendance, we have Airport Manager Jessica Ward, and we have BFNS Engineer Paul Schaefer. Reading the minutes, everybody get a chance to look at the February 9th minutes?
I did have one correction.
Oh, sure.
Let's see, where is that? Oh, yeah. Oh, here we go. Okay, under new business, the attorney contract, motion to approve, Greg Poulin, and second, I believe, was myself.
Yeah, that would make sense.
Okay, well, that's the only one, that's all I got.
Anybody else see any other corrections?
No. With that correction, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for February.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? Those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Yeah, because even under that, the 2023 annual hangar rental lease for Flight Saga, I have Greg and TY. I wonder if this is from, you know what? We didn't have any new business. I think this was from January.
Oh, was it?
Do you know what I mean?
Oh,
The
okay.
previous month.
All right, yeah,
So I need to actually remove this.
okay, that's,
So I didn't remove that, so I apologize. That's my fault. Because I'm like, TY, it says on there too, and he wasn't here. And that's because that was when you were running the meeting, and this was from the January meeting.
Right.
So I need to totally remove. So,
All right.
yeah, make a motion to remove the new business because we did not have any.
Or said with the corrections, so
Okay.
It's all good. Yeah, that should clarify that.
And who made the motion? You did?
Correct.
Okay. And then Kirk?
second.
All right, reports. Financial. March 2023 starting account balances. Please, Jessica.
Alrighty, so everybody has a current account balance report in front of them. All of our account balances are looking great. I mean, we only had 3 claims this past month because, you know, this is such an early meeting this month. So we have no issues so far this year. Nothing exciting, nothing to talk about.
That's good. February 2023 fuel sales.
Overall, we sold 592.6 gallons of 100 low lead, 432 gallons of Jet A, and 274.8 gallons of Swift fuel in February. Our current fuel prices are $5.23 for full service avgas, $4.78 for self and full service jet. And we just got a new load of Swift UL 94 yesterday, and it took our price from $6.75 to $6.60. So we took it down 15 cents. So we have that, and everything's good there.
Excellent, thanks. Now for the airport manager item, UST
Yes.
inspection.
Okay, so all of our requested paperwork for the 40 CFR 280.34 records request for the UST inspection was submitted within the 15-day window. Our inspection was last week. We already had it, which was great. We received an inspection summary 24 hours after our inspection. There were a few additional paperwork requests from that. They requested an updated financial responsibility document from the controller's office, so I got that already submitted to them. And then we needed an updated operator certificate A, and so I completed that, my training on that over the weekend, and submitted that as well. So they have everything they need from us at this time. The only other thing that the inspector noticed was that a technician that from Northern Indiana Mechanical that did a couple of the tests out here for it, he said he was not a certified technician through the IDHS. And he has to be in order for those to count. So he said it could have been a mistake on their end or a mistake on, it doesn't matter. And if it is a mistake on their end, then we would need those tests redone.
Okay.
So I did call Northern Indiana Mechanical and I talked to Madeline, she's kind of in charge of all that. And she sent me and she sent the inspector and a couple other people an item. She actually put in his certificate wrong when she did the paperwork. And so they looked under the certificate number, couldn't find him, says he's not in there, but she just inputted the wrong numbers in there. And so she actually sent over the actual certificate now and like the correct numbers. So that should be totally fine, but everything, we passed everything else.
Excellent.
It went really well. I wanted to show you guys, this is everything that has to be submitted for, it's just tons of stuff. So this was the records request and everything in it. So I'm glad that's behind us and everything. We should get our actual, we got like a preliminary kind of summary, but we should get the actual report, I think it's between 30 and 90 days or something after this.
So basically, we passed, but they'll probably have some critiques on there, suggestions or something like that.
Correct, yep, so we just saw a summary that said, yes, you passed all these things, and if you didn't, it'll say like unknown, which are the technician one says unknown for those two.
Okay.
But now it should be fine with that. And then the type A certificate was like an unknown, and the financial was an unknown. So I submitted those, so they have everything they need for even all the things in the summary that was wrong. But the actual test and everything went well, no issues at all. He was really impressed, actually.
Well, thank you from the board for you and Rudy of
Yeah, it was
taking care of
a
their
lot of
work.
work.
So thank you.
So yeah, that was really good, yay!
All right, 2023 land lease rent.
Yes, so our annual land lease rent letters are gonna be going out next month, or maybe this month, within the next month. The hangar inspection notice will be included in that letter because you have to give 30 days notice when setting up the hangar inspection dates. So that's when all the tenants will be notified that there will be hangar inspections. Also, hangar mowing letters will go out. Tenants are required to mow their own grass, but we always give them the opportunity to pay us to mow. So those letters will be in there as well.
How do we charge them?
We charge them $50 a month. And then they can either pay monthly or else they can pay like for the whole season up front. It's 6 months usually,
Okay.
April through October.
What's the majority of people do, roughly? I'm curious.
So I would say most of them take care of their own because they all have like mowers in their hangar, and they're out here a lot, like a lot of the tenants. I'd say, I think mowing total, we probably mow maybe between 6 and 7 hangar owners out here. So, and all the T hangers, of course, it's just the ends, we mow the T hangers. And it's just, it's like 2 ends for that, so it's not a big deal for that.
And what is that fund used for?
It just goes into our revenue for the airport.
All right, airport development.
We really only have one action item today, and that's just final pay application and closeout request for the road 220 design. Basically, we're gonna hit pause on that. The agreement's not done, but because they don't have the construction money in 24, like they said, there's no sense in proceeding forward, procuring costs, because those will all get stood up. So we're just gonna go ahead and close this out and get you your last $9,000 and put it on the shelf until they decide they have some money.
Didn't I see someplace in there that it's, how to say, that it wasn't earmarked? They could actually take that 9,000 away or something, or?
Well, the 9,000 is gonna be paid to you, that's 100% fed. But you're probably talking about 13,157.92. It says, please note that the grant finished under with an unobligated balance of 13,157. Right, So that's your entitlement, so you won't lose it, it rolls over, as long as we spend it in the next 4 years. Yeah,
I'm sure we can find a way to do that.
Right.
Thank you.
Yep.
All right, the snow removal equipment building.
Does he need a motion?
Yeah.
I'll make a motion to approve API 25 pay request in the amount of $9,000.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Opposed?
That'll be great.
Motion carries.
Sign afterwards. Snow removal building,
Thanks, Ray.
so, in your packet, there's a 11 by 17 drawing up here. And, initially, if you'll recall, I'll do this, if I can see here. We had the face of this building in line with the back of the parking lot, which, we thought, oh, that's nice and clean. But if you look over here, there's kind of 3 lines. There's a black line, a red line that's dashed, and then this yellow line. Well, lo and behold, around the perimeter of the airport parcel, there's it was set up, platted to be a road, like a perimeter. And so because of that, the Phillips basically deed, when he donated land to the airport, has the land going out to the black line. But there is a little confusion on whether that right of way was ever vacated or if it needs to be vacated. So in any case, working with Bill Nelson in the surveyor's office, we thought it best to avoid the situation and just pull that up. So that's why the building is basically 50 feet from your prior property line, or the outside property line, to the yellow line, which is the edge of the right-of-way, suspected right-of-way line, which really required us to move the building 30 feet to the east.
So what's the red line?
The red line is the center line of the right-of-way.
Oh, center line of the 2?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Which red line is it?
So we're in the middle, yeah. The center line, so that's 50 feet and it's 25 and 25. And then this building, so you'll see the 3 overhead doors, and down here on the, it's kind of fuzzy because this was a PDF I overlaid on here. Initially, we had this flip-flop, so the loft was gonna be on the north end, and the 3 overhead doors were gonna be on the south, and this is still draft, so we can change this around. But when we moved the building closer, Jessica and Rudy were concerned that there would not be enough room to get the tractor, because it's so long, with the 2 pivot points, squared up to be able to back into the door. So we wanted to make sure that the overhead door was in line with the driveway that went out to the apron. So the solution that we came up with was to mirror the building, to flip it and put the loft and the restroom thing down here. That way this door could be lined up with the drive here. So when you pull the tractor in, you can line up, have plenty of room to back up. And you also then, in the second door to the north, you eventually could pave this whole area in between the terminal and hill to give you more room. I've also talked to Shane a little bit at Nucor about getting a cost to move the pole. I don't know if we'll be able to work it into the project yet, but one thing we can do is we can save a little bit of asphalt by flipping it around this way, because the man door is here. So we ought to be able to pull that asphalt back 20 feet. And I'm hoping if we offset the costs, the cost savings of the asphalt might offset the cost of moving the pole. And that'll give Rudy and them a little bit more room to maneuver through. So, Nucor wants to start April 3rd, so they really want us to make a decision. I mean,
How close are the 2 buildings at this point? Is that 60 feet? 60 feet?
yeah, about 60 feet.
If we left that concrete in there, would it be wiser to keep it in there? That way you could use it as a pivot, like a 3-point, if you had to back something up or move stuff around, or?
Yeah, and that's what the contractor's point was, is it gave you a little extra space to park things.
instead of having to park in front of the overhead doors, you know, if you had a little space down there. So if you want to keep the asphalt all the way down there, it's certainly,
Where are we talking about?
I think we should keep it.
Because right here's the man door, so all this
Well,
asphalt
because
down
this
here.
isn't gonna be concrete
Oh,
either,
okay,
that
so
over
this
here,
is
do you know
what we're
what I
talking
mean?
about here. Does it extend to this spot here? No.
No, it's just the red box.
So we can have the,
We are gonna have to shift it
No,
up
because
just a little bit.
this is the
because
fence
we
and it
wanna
goes
get
to
north
here.
of that door.
Okay.
So this is the drive, the fence goes to here, so we're gonna have a gate here. So this wasn't going to be, so, but we're not doing asphalt all the way to the end of this building currently, correct?
we have that garage door, how do you get,
Right. We do need to shift the asphalt
Yes,
to
we
get
need
on
to
the
shift
other
the
side of
asphalt,
the
correct.
door.
Yeah,
But we
it's
don't
not
wanna
there
be
now.
on top of the utilities.
okay.
Because there's gonna be water line, gas line, electric.
Yeah, because do you see the utilities there?
Yeah.
Okay,
Which is where the blue?
yes.
How wide is this drive?
How wide is that?
7, well, between the pole and, that's about, well, I mean, we can't go all the way to the building, and this shows all the way to the building, which,
What's out there by the?
it's 17.9 feet
Why?
wide between that pole and that building, but like where the hose is.
I know, but
That's pretty expensive.
so we don't have to move that light?
Well, I mean, we hope to move the light eventually, even if we don't now.
So theoretically, the tractor and everything will fit through there, but it's kind of tight.
It looks tight.
It is.
It's right up against the building.
And also, the ice buildup too, you know, like there's no gutters on that, and if there were, they would just fall down anyways, because that happens to hangars out here. But the ice, we have icicles hanging there, and that whole area next to the hangar is a total sheet of ice. So we can't be like in the winter getting that close to the building, or else there's gonna be an accident, or the light pole's gonna be taken out anyways, or the building will be.
Yeah.
Or damage to the tractor, so in the winter, pretty much the only option is to really go through the big parking lot and through that
And that was
gate.
the other thing I was gonna ask,
That's gonna be the only
why would
option.
we not just do that anyway?
Well,
And just,
we're gonna have
and
to.
turn it,
Oh, you mean like
and put the
permanently?
doors where it'd be like, okay, now we can just go in and out this way.
Yeah, we've done a
that's-
lot of talking through it.
Okay.
I mean,
I don't wanna,
no, that is an option as well, if you want to do that.
could you turn this building 90 degrees? And then,
Sure.
then we could just
We can turn
you
it
access that
90 degrees.
parking lot, and then if we wanna make a corral that goes, between these two buildings, I mean, there's a pretty big manhole here that collects a lot of water in the middle there,
Where?
between these two buildings, right here, I believe so, yeah.
So now, what you're suggesting is you flip it around this way.
Yeah, then we could just,
You come out here, and then they're gonna be using the other door there.
So the reason that got kind
the
of,
parking
Yeah, I
lot,
mean,
right,
and then you have enough space to maneuver
The
here.
only other thing I'm seeing is you would have to have another gate, right?
Cause the thing is we have to go through that like gate, I mean, multiple times a day if we don't have an entrance here.
So you're constantly opening and closing.
Constantly opening and closing the gate.
well, when you're here, that gate
We
can stay
we
open.
cannot keep the gate open anymore.
Why?
Because we've had break-ins at the airport, number one, and number two, we had a lady drive straight out to the runway.
It's not a security gate, it's a wildlife gate.
We can't have the gate open.
Sorry.
We
Well,
cannot.
plus you lose some parking, right? Because you could have vehicles
And that's the
Well,
thing too,
and
is what if people are parked
with
there?
all three doors, it basically, the chances that you have a car parked in one of the back row or the middle row are high. Not everybody parks in the front. And that's where the doors,
This
in order for it to work that way.
This is for snow removal equipment,
It's
and
everything from this building.
including the trucks,
Correct.
fuel trucks.
Yep.
Everything that's in there
Everything's
is
moving
going
from
in there.
there into there, correct.
So it seems to me a bit cheaper to move that pole,
Uh-huh,
and that's it, and then just create
Well,
a.
that's it.
a whole concrete,
I would
yeah.
call that a very
Because those are
cheap
just
option.
papers right now, underneath this picnic table.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
Yeah,
so
those can
cheap.
just,
Well, I mean, it is cheaper, Greg. I mean, think
Yeah.
about it. If you flip this around, what are you gonna do with what Jessica is suggesting, that we keep that gate closed all the time, right? and then there are gonna be people parking here, what are you gonna do in the summertime if you wanna move things, right?
Or even during events, you know, it's like people, there's times that people do like block in and then people can't get through there and.
Material wise, it's not gonna be expensive.
Yeah.
Labor wise, they're gonna have, to cut that off, that's a hefty foundation.
That's a hefty one.
If we had them remove it all the way down, I mean, we could probably cut it off 24 inches.
I like this plan here. We probably just need a post with that driveway access point that runs along here, just something on the corner there, because that driveway is so close to that building. You just
Yeah.
wanna make sure that no one hits that building.
Yeah,
If you had the driveway a little bit further, which we don't have the space,
yeah.
you probably wouldn't be so much concerned, but since that driveway is on.
Yeah, you can make the space if you move that, if that ramp light was moved.
Correct.
Which I think we should do that, because it gives the driver a little bit extra to not hit that building.
I'm getting a quote from Shane on that, and I was gonna try to, whatever that quote was, I was gonna try to trim back asphalt to offset it so we didn't have a cost.
Yeah, okay. Seems like a good deal.
Okay.
So, did we decide anything on, are we keeping all this pavement down here so people can do like a 3-point turn or anything, or store stuff? Or are we removing that all the way up to the entry door?
Yeah, we don't need it all the way to the edges of the building.
Okay.
Unless you just want a place for people to park or sit, but that was, to me, that was.
I mean, it would be nice to like, at least like pull the trucks out, you know, even like the fuel trucks out, just like, you know what I mean, out of the
Yeah, to
building.
stage it.
Yeah, to stage it there
I
too.
think we should keep the concrete for that reason on,
Yeah.
so that you're constantly not moving vehicles just to make space, you can just back it up.
It can be clean a little.
Leave it all day if you want, and it's hidden, you know?
Yeah.
That's fine. Then the post would just be additional. I was just looking at an opportunity to offset.
Absolutely, I mean, that's good thinking on your part.
Good thing, Paul, good thing.
But,
Cause I mean, too, we could always asphalt that later too, do you know what I mean? So does that, we either take the pull out later or we do the asphalt later? I mean, eventually we'll have to do both, really.
well,
We've got concrete though, you might as well do like concrete almost.
Is that the furthest pole that we have, or is there one more that goes on the fuel farm?
No, there's one more by the fuel farm.
Okay.
So it's 1, 2, and then 2 that way.
Yeah.
So
This
there's
part is cheaper, so.
yeah. So we were gonna move it over closer to the terminal building.
yeah, we're gonna try and figure out something.
Yeah. Tear out your big bush.
Yeah, my big burning bush. Awesome.
And gazebo.
The gazebo is already moving.
So the gazebo.
We already have that, yeah,
Where you
in the
gonna move
plans to move. It's gonna go on the other side of the patio over here. Like the patio on that side.
Right here.
Yep.
Okay.
Now, do we need a motion or anything, or?
If you want, I think I've got your direction.
Okay.
Anybody
Yeah, I think
disagree?
we're good.
All right,
Thanks, Paul.
thank you. And
All right, old business, we have the Gene Smith 40 acres cash farm lease.
Yes, actually, we're gonna have to table it again, so,
Okay.
Mr. Smith, the farmer is in Florida for the winter, and so he can't execute, you know, the lease until he comes back. So the only thing that I told him is that, I mean, we have to have an executed lease, and it needs to come before the board for the board to sign, before he obviously enters the property to do any farming.
Well, I guess we'd let him know that he's got DocuSign or something like that, but, he's not gonna be able to put any seed in the ground until,
He,
This has been,
and, yep, I've already told them, yeah.
Excellent.
I already
Okay.
told them that, so we should be good. So he's not gonna be able to access the property until we have a signed farm
Okay.
lease,
alright,
and it's before the board.
yeah, we should.
The only other thing we can do is if you guys want to approve the lease as it was written, as long as he signs it as it was written, because that was already approved by you guys anyway, so you know what I mean? But if he makes any changes that come before the board again or something, that's the only other thing I can think of that we could do.
But it's already been approved, right? So,
The lease, this year's lease has not been approved because you guys were gonna wait for him to sign it. Because remember the last time we approved it and then he made changes to it?
right,
And so, in order to make sure that that doesn't happen this time,
he signed it in the wrong spot or something.
yeah,
So because of legal issues, I would wait for him to
okay,
put the signature there.
sounds good.
The bird's on him.
Yeah.
I agree.
Okay.
Well, that completes that, new business.
The self-service avgas fuel farm repair. Yay! Who's excited?
I am.
Yes, okay. So, I have here Everybody's got it in their thing. We have 2 quotes. Boom, look at this. One from Northern Indiana Mechanical and one from K&W Equipment Company to fix the self-service avgas that's been out since June. So, we had Northern Indiana Mechanical, they came out here and they went over, and they tested the pump to make sure it wasn't actually the pump that was, damaged or something wrong with it, needed to be replaced. So they went through the piping tank sumps and they put a pipe in there, and then they ran avgas into like where, the tankers fill, just to see if the pump would work and turn on and everything was good there, and it did. There's no problems with the pump at all. So it's definitely the floating suction arm that is the issue. If you guys remember, we talked about this so many times, but if you guys remember, that floating suction arm is like at a 90-degree angle, and they can't get it out from the little manhole that they have. So they have to cut bigger concrete. We're waiting on an estimate for that forever. So then they can access the bigger thing on the bottom to pull it out. So that's what this quote is for. So I had Paul look at it too. So Paul's already looked at it. They sent me a video. I showed Paul the video. I wanted to make sure everything looks good to him too and me, because just to have a second opinion. And so we looked at all the pictures of how they did it and whatever. And so Paul looked at it as well, and he thinks, what do you think?
I think 28 grand, considering the impact of not being able to have self-fuel on the airport, is a pretty small price to pay. It's pretty cheap.
Yeah, because we don't hear all the time.
So,
Right.
but it says dewatering if needed.
Yes,
What's the likelihood of dewatering?
100% in my opinion.
That's what I was thinking.
Maybe even 110%.
Why would we
It's
not,
always there.
why would we not protect?
Because they don't, unless they come out to start the project and know that we need it. Do you know what I mean?
This dewatering, 35, 58, 2,000.
And Paul looked at that too, and he
1,600.
said that that is a good price.
I know, but it increases the price.
It does.
So it's pretty much gonna be up to this.
$8,000 or something?
And but the back quote doesn't include that either, so it would be the same with that.
Oh, okay.
And why does bid not include permit cost? Or is that the cost, or is it just the permit itself?
Might be their own responsibility to do that.
I think that the contractors usually apply for the permit in order to proceed, or is this the price, or is it just for the permit?
780.
No, bid price does not include local permit.
So I don't know what local permit we would need, except I do know.
Discharge.
Yeah, the discharge thing, I don't think we have a permit for that. So I already talked to Steve Stanford. He works for the sanitary district, and he's in charge of the temporary authorization for discharge. So I already talked to him, and he told me that if the water samples look okay, then he's gonna re-up the TDA discharge to that sanitary sewer that we have on location, on site. And he just said that we're gonna need to test for the same perimeters that we did with the last UST piping sump. Remember, we just had the whole piping sump redone? They're gonna be the same parameters for that. And Northern Indiana Mechanical already completed that in 2018, so they know the parameters. He sent them to me again for the testing. So I don't think there's gonna be a permit cost associated with that.
Does our water department have dewatering equipment
No.
that they use for their projects?
I do not think so.
Oh, so they contract that out too.
Yeah, I'm not sure anything about that. I don't know.
I was wondering if we could merge another department in the city and help freight the cost of something like that.
I'm not sure on
Yeah,
that.
I think their dewatering number is for a full month. We don't probably think they'll need it, but you can't just divide by 30 because there's
Right.
gonna be some
No.
mobilization
Right.
involved. But I think it'll be a little less than that, but that would be the worst. And when you look at the other one, the other quote, they also, the last line says, quote, does not include removal of contaminated products, dewatering, or permit.
Yeah.
And they don't even give a number for it, so at least Northern Indiana has given you a ballpark. I would expect it to be under that.
What do you think, Kurt?
Well, somebody, hopefully we don't have any unclean water, because you could see that once we got started, if there was, I don't know if you, but if the
There was
test.
not last time. I do know
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, because 70 cents a gallon, you could be talking thousands and thousands of dollars right there, but anyway, it's gotta be done.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
And the 3558, that, It's not the extra 2,000 and 1,600. The 35 is the, 2,000 and 1,600
Okay,
is what
check.
comprises 3558. That's their math, I think.
Good enough. I'll make a motion, we approve the Northern Indiana Mechanical bid to fix the self-service fuel tanks.
Probably not to exceed the items listed under the dewatering.
Yeah.
We can always come back if, so that it's not unlimited and.
There's a rock and water clause, there's a wire clause, there's a price is subject to change clause.
That's right.
So, I mean, as.
All right, those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. There we go.
Boom. TY's gonna be using it all the time, aren't you? Yeah, you are. Self-service app gas.
No,
Just pretend.
no,
For me right now, you can't pretend for me right now.
no,
All right,
We have a Swiftback and it's cheaper.
claims docket, do we have a chance to see
Yeah.
that already?
Oh, I did send it to everybody, but I don't have it here too.
It's good to me. I move that we accept the claims docket as written.
All right, do we have a second? Second.
Oh, he did.
All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Claims docket passes. Thank you. All right, any public comment? There's nobody here for that.
I think that was so Greg had something.
Also, that we're adjourned?
Yes. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Look at that, right on time, 1:30.
That's all right.
There you go.
Hold on, Joe.